Welcome back to Listen to This, a podcast about music, for music, and everything in between. My name is Alex.
And I'm Danny.
And guys, we have 3 days until the day of eternal love and joy and burning a dude at the stake for doing marriages in secret.
And for all those who don't know where he's going with this, it's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day? I thought it was just going to be Sunday.
Well, it's going to be as Valentine's Day-y it can get for 2020 pandemic sort of deal.
2021.
Well, yeah.
Okay, get with the times. Get with the times,
the pandemic
Danny.
started in 2020.
You could argue it started in 19.
That's true. But we didn't have to worry about it for Valentine's Day last year.
That's true. But yeah, Valentine's Day is coming up. So today we figured we would talk about, the theme of love in every single form that could possibly be. But before we jump into that, Danielle, what have you been listening to lately?
Ooh, a lot of different things. I don't know. My music has gone from one extreme to the other. So starting out, there's this one song I found in an anime. Don't laugh at me. But
I don't know what laughter is.
That got depressing. Wow.
Not quite what I meant. Anyway.
It's called Lost in Paradise by Ali and Okio. I'm pretty sure Akio.
Akio.
Yeah. I found it on Spotify, so I'm pretty sure it's both in Spotify and Apple Music. But it's just a really funky, jazzy sort of song, and it was nice, kind of reminiscing about summer, so it makes me kind of excited for warmer weather.
Yeah.
And then Trouble's Coming by Royal Blood. That I actually found on a promo for Prodigal Son.
Oh, no way.
They're coming back with the good music again. I love when these shows start coming back because the promo music for it is always so interesting. It's stuff you wouldn't really hear on the radio, but should be on the radio, and I love it. And then I got actual new music. So Hold On from Secrets just came out a couple weeks ago.
Album or single?
It's just a single. Oh. It's kind of pre-Fragile Figures, but it still kind of has that sound. So it's one that I'm really interested in, but for some reason it's taking me a hot second to get into it. And I think it's just because they're trying to go so heavy, so fast. It's like, whoa, pull it back now, y'all. Starting on the run. But
who invited her to the show?
Technically invited myself, so you're like, yeah.
I was the guest. Damn it.
And last but not least, Of Mice and Men came back. They just released a single called Obsolete, and this is after they signed to Sharp Tone Records. So they were formerly with Rise Records, who signed bands like Dance Gavin Dance, Crown the Empire, Knuckle Puck, Memphis Mayfire, a lot of the Warped Tour bands. Mm-hmm. So they switched records. I'm not sure why. They just did a little quick PR notice hey, this is what happened.
We changed labels all of a sudden.
And we left Rise amicably and everything like that. So I don't know quite what happened, but they have officially signed Sharp Tones. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that's kind of been my list of songs I've been going through. I'm trying to keep it short because I have so much to pack into this Valentine's Day episode.
I'm not going to keep it short because I have stories to tell. So last episode I was talking about hyperpop and the world that kind of fell into, and I went into the 8485 story of me trying to figure out who this person is kind of thing as an artist and whatever.
The rabbit hole you fell down.
Right, yeah. And honestly that rabbit hole was for that specific field of SoundCloud hyperpop, that was pretty much as deep as it went. Of course, there are dozens of other artists in that field, but all of them are very straightforward. They're all very, very the same genre, same style of music. Same style of music, same lyrical attributes, if you want to call it that, and whatever. So there actually wasn't too much more in there other than just new songs to find, but none that changed the game, just added to hyperpop.
Yeah.
I also talked about Lil Peep and how there was this mysteriously released song, and I was so confused about where it came from and how it existed and everything. Well, I figured it out, and it actually ties into hyperpop. It's weird. I mean, loosely. So it actually ties into Charlie XCX, who was like considered one of the more mainstream people who does hyperpop.
Yeah.
For her second album, I want to say it was, or maybe it was one of her mixtapes. She was going to release a song with Lil Peep, but he died like a month or two before the album came out, and just out of respect to him, she took it off the record. But it's still leaked online because it's the 21st century and everything will. And what somebody did is they took all of Lil Peep's parts and just made it its own song, giving it its own beat and instrumental in the background. So it is not an officially released track at all.
Wow.
It's a fan creation of a lost Peep song.
That's interesting because I was listening to it too, and I was like, I don't know if this is actually him. So I know I was a little on the fence about that.
But yeah, no, it is him, but you can definitely tell it was towards the end of his life because the fact that you thought it was weird because he was so, like, the last, like, 6 months before he died, he was so, like, drugged out and just out of it and not really present. Mm-hmm. I watched the Lil Peep documentary. That's how I know. Like, even in his interviews, he was not there. Live shows, he wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, because his vocals, I kept pointing out, like, they sound different. They don't sound very, like, right. Even when you can tell someone's vocals themselves are just being worked on so much by, like, auto-tune and stuff like that. Like, you can start to tell.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that. It was just his voice just didn't sound right.
He sounded, like not to be over dramatic, but he sounded kind of dead inside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, by way of that category, 93 Feet of Smoke had a new single come out, and it's all right. I'm pretty sure with his last two singles, he's been like, I thought his last single was just kind of like something new and different, but this new one is kind of in that same vein. I wonder if he's going in a new direction, kind of like, I don't know, like glitchy mumble rap. And I'm like, I mean, I still like the songs. I like the melodies, but the vocal production's weird.
Yeah,
but
something more experimental.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it, experimental. But also Sewer Person released another album because that guy can't go 2 weeks without releasing an EP or an LP for some reason. I mean, it's great. I get a lot of music out of him, but at the same time, I want to be like, do you want to like rest?
Do you need a second, dude?
Otherwise, I've just been listening to a lot of like older school pop punk. Like I've been listening to the first Newfound Glory EP from '97, the first thing they ever re-released on their first album. The first Wonder Years album in its entirety, the one with Captain Crunch and the Kool-Aid Woman making out. Speaking of Wonder Years, actually, they last month in December, 2 months ago, whatever, time is its construct, they actually released, it was released as a single, but it was 2 songs, and one of them, Out on My Feet, is actually really incredible, and they made it to sound like The Upsides and Suburbia, I've Given You Everything and Now I'm Nothing, like their older school stuff, which I thought was really cool.
That's awesome.
And then also, just one last tidbit. I didn't realize this. Like, I knew that Newfound Glory is... So they're a 5-piece band. They've always been a 5-piece band. But it was really 3 guys, Jordan, Chad, and Steve. But Steve left, like, 6 years ago. So now it's pretty much Jordan and Chad writing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say I know that. But from everything I've seen in interviews and, like, production notes, that's kind of what it suggests. And Chad is the guitarist, and Jordan's the vocalist. But Chad also has a side project. Has done a few things. He was in like Shia Halud. He's married to Lisa Cimarelli. They're gonna have a baby in July. And he had the solo thing. He has a solo thing called What's Eating Gilbert because his name is Chad Gilbert, and it's like What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Ha 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 ha. And his first like fully debut LP. He released a bunch of EPs, but his first LP is What's Eating Gilbert. Is it's a power pop album, which is fun, and it's like hella catchy. Like every single song, it's not gonna change the music industry, but they're all a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Looking through all
Surprisingly,
your lists.
I did actually keep that short. I'm gonna end that part there, and jump into the world of love. Now, I think it's safe to assume that music probably started for 2 reasons: religion and courting.
Yeah, pretty much.
You are courting someone or you are worshiping someone. Sometimes those are the same thing. But I actually like that a lot because every single music genre has a love song in some capacity. Sometimes the love song is about romance. Sometimes it's about family. Sometimes it's about doinking each other. It's a very, very broad spectrum of subcategories that fit into love song. And which means this episode could be a long one.
Yeah, and I I was making a joke when I first came into. I'm like, so I know you're gonna go for like some of the more nicer love songs and stuff like that,
like
and I
those
jumped
songs.
through my own rabbit hole of.
She was looking at porn to find soundtracks. I don't know what it was about.
No, I was actually watching a Netflix show.
Hi, Danny's mom.
Yeah, he's lying, mom, honestly. And yeah, I like jumped down the rabbit hole of just like the idea of raunchy songs aren't new, and some of them are really weird to hear. Like, because a lot of the songs that I found that I was actually listening to are like from the 1920s and 30s.
Damn, those flappers.
Oh, holy like, you guys thought WAP was bad? Oh, honey, like, it was like embarrassing, first off, in a really different way. It was really weird, but it was like kind of interesting too to see like how nothing has really changed, but we just act like it's a new thing for girls to talk about shit. And I'm like, no, it is not. That's
Actually a good point. I mean, I think the biggest, and I'm going to use this in the biggest air quotes possible, controversy I can think of in regards to lyrical content or something like that was Blurred Lines, probably.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 2015-ish?
Around that time.
Yeah. I mean, when like both of those, I mean, both of the WAP and Blurred Lines are sexual in nature, but it's all about, I don't know, how people handle the words you've chosen to express your thoughts.
But yeah, so if you want, I'll let you start it out.
So I'm actually going to just hit the ground running with my personal favorite love song, which I've already talked about before in passing. I like Peter Gabriel's cover of The Book of Love. I think that's an incredibly sweet song. The strings and his voice, which I know has power, but in this song it sounds very like delicate. I think it works really well. And you know, the Book of Love, it talks about the history of love and stuff like that, and I like it. It's very much a slow dance at both your wedding and 50th anniversary kind of song.
Oh. Yeah,
it's really nice. I think the Magnetic Fields version is the original version. Is still good. It's especially unique with its guitars because you don't hear that in the Peter Gabriel version. I like it. I just prefer Peter's the most. I think another one that is a timeless love song that will survive throughout the ages. Maybe even if not the original, but the covers that will frequently always happen is "Heaven" by Bryan Adams. That's also like a prom song and a wedding song kind of thing. Prom song.
Well, when you said that lead up to it, I thought you were going to talk about Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls. From the movie soundtrack that had Nick Cage in it.
Oh yeah, no,
that's another one that I always think of.
I would actually agree with that wholeheartedly. I would. I think my favorite version of the song is the Jada Facer version, which actually isn't. I think it's like less than a year old even. But I think her soft, delicate voice does it justice. I still like the. I think you'd be safe to say anthemic quality of the Goo Goo Dolls version. It's just personally not my favorite. It'd be second behind Jada's. Totally changing genres here. Another great one is Springsteen by Eric Church. That's country, which is by no means my forte. I'm sure there are a billion incredible country love songs, but just from the ones my very, very limited knowledge, I think it's very, very sweet. It's a nostalgic kind of love, kind of like Alan Jackson's Remember When, which was a love letter to his wife.
Yeah.
But the only reason I can't consider that one of the tops is because I just get so uncomfortable when he talks about taking her virginity. Like, that's just weird to me. That's just weird to me.
Oh wow! I
the
forgot.
rest of the song is good though.
That's a weird concept to just throw in there. Like, yeah, that would be kind of awkward.
And then I think before I pass the ball to you, I think the best modern love song writer.
Ooh.
Objectively speaking, obviously, I think, I like pop punk songs, so even if those are about love or heartbreak, I think they're pretty great. But I think objectively, the one who writes the most love songs for himself and for other artists is Ed Sheeran.
Oh, wholeheartedly agree there.
That koala is pretty great.
Well, like, kind of thinking of that idea where it's like someone who kind of encompasses the whole like love song sort of thing. Album that encompasses like I don't know, I wouldn't say pretty much what I think about when I think about Valentine's Day is like all of the 50 Shades of Grey albums, because the thought process that went into all of them are like phenomenal.
Really?
Because you have
all I know is Love Me Like You Do.
I Put a Spell on You, which is of course a classic. Love Me Like You Do. Remake of I'm on Fire. This one was by AWOL Nation. I really like that one because I've heard the original play at work, and I really like the original, but AWOL Nation just kind of kicks the contrast up a little bit more.
Okay.
I like it a lot. One Last Night from the Vaults. I Know You by Skylar Grey. I feel like it's really, I love her, and I feel like she's, a lot of the songs that she does herself don't really get a lot of recognition unless she does it with like, because she's worked with so many top artists.
For me, I will forever associate Skylar Grey with Eminem.
Yeah, me too. So that's why it's awesome to see her own sort of songs come out in this. And Heaven by Julia Michaels. That one's a really good one.
I also like Julia Michaels.
Yeah, Never Tear Us Apart, Bishop Briggs. I love Bishop Briggs.
Not familiar with him.
Her?
Yeah, that was my next guess.
She came to Panther Fest for UWM. And she has a song called River. That was probably the most popular one that got a ton of radio play.
She wasn't a headliner, was she? Or was she an opener?
I think she was the headliner.
Oh, damn, I'm embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed. But yeah, so that, all of those albums, they were so well curated. And of course, they have the slowed down version of Beyonce's, where did I put it? Crazy in Love. That's what it's called. They have the slowed down version of Beyonce's Crazy in Love. And that so far has been my favorite sort of edit of that song ever.
Okay.
I just rattled off a bunch there.
But I suppose it was unfair of me, but I never really took the 50 Shades soundtrack seriously. Like I never bothered looking into them at all.
The movies are their own thing, just take it or leave it, but always check out the soundtracks because whoever put that together was a genius.
Yeah.
Like
that's where the budget went.
Yeah, that's where I'm imagining a lot of work went into because every song is like perfectly curated for any sort of Valentine's Day you want to have. Your face, you literally were like...
The way you phrased that, I thought you were going to say any kind of Valentine's Day, but any kind of Valentine's Day you want to have.
Because there's like the cute, like little like love songs.
And then there's handcuffs.
And yeah, I guess. That's where the Beyonce comes in.
Okay. Just scrolling through my list here, there actually is... I think I have a nostalgic attachment to Book of Love, which is why I consider it the best, but I think one of the... For reasons of every single... Like what I listed before, of love being romantic, familial, sexual, friendly, anything, I think of the song that would epitomize that the most, even if I can't give it my personal number one spot, would be by Nickelback, Gotta Be Somebody.
Hell yeah.
That song's whole message is that you don't have to be alone. There is somebody who will love you in some capacity.
Yeah.
Which I find to be a very sweet message. They also have Far Away, which is a good one, but...
is that the one that has a music video with the fire trucks?
The firemen, yep.
Fudge, that one messes me up every time I watch it.
Ironically, it was just because I just happened to see this here, a music video that I actually find to be pretty damn powerful, even if not necessarily breaking new ground, is Secret's Incredible. Like I like that music video a lot. That's a very sweet one, especially like during the breakdown when I was all alone. The dude's like crying in the laundry room and stuff, and the girl's there. Like I like that a lot.
It's kind of it's a different approach, but a very real approach to just dealing in relationships. Like it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows and kisses. It's going to be like hard work. I said kissies. Don't give me that look.
You said kissies. Sunshine, rainbows, and kissies. You were talking to your cat today, weren't you?
You know what? It doesn't matter.
Mind your business.
Mind your business.
I think another good... I like this band for their love songs primarily. Maroon 5.
Yeah,
I
they were
think-
always really good at love songs.
When they're writing sweet songs, they're good. And I still like some of their, like, angrier songs, too. Like Wake Up Call, Harder to Breathe, stuff like that. But I like Sunday Morning. I like She Will Be Loved. I like Never Gonna Leave This Bed. I like Love Somebody.
Or even like Payphone, if you can consider
Payphone,
that.
yeah.
Like, except for Wiz Khalifa's one, because he kind of is like doing
Man,
the whole
fuck that shit.
yeah, whole shut it all down. But yeah, like even the more modern stuff, like Stereo Hearts with Gym Class Heroes. I said that really weird. I don't know why I was starting to slur that for Heroes. I'm thinking
Stereo.
Oh Lord.
But no, I like that one a lot too, actually.
But I was gonna say too, one of I think the most interesting person to watch grow in the field from like where she started to where she is now is Ariana Grande and her mix of love songs, because she started out super cute, poppy, like, you know, I love you.
Are you talking like Nickelodeon era Ariana,
Yeah.
or like Problem era? Okay.
And then you get to the Problem area. You get to Dangerous Woman, which was in 2016, and now she's on 34 plus 35 in 2020, which, if you can do math.
Explain the math, Danny.
Well, 34 plus 35 equals 69, and every
Nice.
kid in middle school is giggling right now if
Nice.
they're ever listening to this.
One of the few pictures I took when I was in Europe was a house number, like the address, and then the address was 69. It was just me. It was a selfie that I captioned "nice."
I'm surprised you didn't do a dab in front of it.
It was a landmark. I should have. Anyway.
But her and Lana Del Rey, I don't know. Lana Del Rey always has like the sickly sweet sort of love songs where like they're not meant to be fluffy and cute. They're meant to like make clothes come off. Your face.
So here's the thing. I said it on one of the early episodes. I have nothing against Lana Del Rey. I just can't get into her.
Yeah.
And now I've listened to like a bunch of her albums because my girlfriend's like loves her. Like she's one of like those like one of the Lana fans who's like obsessed with Lana. Like she posts a selfie. Oh my gosh, she's so perfect, kind of thing. And I don't like her music's just not for me. There are definitely songs I like, and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is a pretty good one. But I would never. She would never be my first choice of listening.
Yeah.
So I guess I just haven't given her music enough of a chance. But I know it's that kind of really real and raw storytelling music, which I like. I respect for what it is, even if it's just not for me.
No, that's fair.
Same with Fiona Apple.
Same sort of style.
Yeah, actually, like remarkably similar. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that Fiona Apple was an inspiration for Lana.
Oh, that makes sense.
When the rain hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king. What he knows throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing before he enters the ring. There's no body to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand, and remember that death is the greatest of the heights, and if you know where you stand, then you know where to land, and if you fall, it won't matter, 'cause you'll know that you're right. That's the album title.
Whoa, wait, what?
That was the album title, but it's usually just shortened to When the Rain. Wait. When the Pawn. When the Pawn. That's what it was. That was
I thought it was just like an add-on poem that you're just
nope,
reciting
that was
real
the
quick.
album title. She's trippy. Anyway, topic at hand though.
But yeah, like I don't know. I'm gonna quick do like some honorable mentions just because we're talking about like quick artists and stuff like that. Where we talked about this song before, but "Come On Get Higher" by Matthew Nathanson.
I like that dude. That dude and I Saw. That song and I Saw are both I think his two greatest love songs.
And then "Breathe Into Me" by Marianne Hill. She did that one piano song like a while ago. The name escapes me because for the love of God, if I heard that song one more time, I was going to lose my mind. But what is it called? Down. Are you down? Are you down? Are you down? I hated that song.
It doesn't sound familiar, but I've
It
probably
played in
heard
the
it.
cafeteria all the time. I think I found this on Lucifer, to be honest with you. And then that's how I found the connection.
Okay.
And then I Want to Be Yours by Arctic Monkeys. Some of their songs are hit or miss. Beating Heart by Ellie Goulding. I love her. Middle, DJ Snake, and Bipolar Sunshine. Good For You by Selena Gomez, and Fetish by also Selena Gomez. Like, she knew what she was doing there. And
Yeah,
I
that wasn't a
appreciate
secret.
that so much. I loved that whole image for a while. Like, I don't know. It was nice to see her kind of just come into her own. And it was no longer like the Selena from,
Wizards of Waverly
yeah,
Place.
or like just with Selena and Justin Bieber. It was just Selena. Here she is, guys. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow. Oh, speaking of Lana Del Rey, Young and Beautiful. Low key, that was our prom song. But
Yeah.
I love that song. It's very glitz and glammy, but it's also like really slowed down and just really velvety. I love that song. It's kind of like a
What song?
Young and Beautiful.
That might be from an album I don't have.
It's from The Great Gatsby.
Oh, okay, yeah, I definitely don't have that album then.
It's so cinematic.
It is, yeah, with those strings and that kind of pounding bass drum, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
The whole feeling behind it. I love that song.
I'll just rapid fire. Just bands who I think do good love songs. Lifehouse, the song First
Yup.
Time, You and Me, they're awesome. Michael Bublé, just his discography.
Yeah.
Owl City does good ones. The Script does good ones. Train does good ones.
Script.
David Archuleta, if you remember him. There's, and I'll even say it, despite being famous for having a not exactly romantic love song, Andy Grammer, when he does something that's like a message, like his wife and stuff, it's good. Like, obviously, Honey, I'm Good isn't exactly the sweetest song in the world. I could cheat on my wife, but you know what? I'm going to be a good guy and not do that. It's like, you're being a great, basic human being. Oh,
Wow, you're doing bare minimum. Congrats.
Also, John Mayer. And, of course, Justin Timberlake. Like, the song Mirrors is a song he wrote after he saw how in love his grandparents were.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then he cheated on his wife.
He did?
Yeah.
When?
He was doing some movie and he and his co-star went out and they were seen getting super snuggly and all that jazz, and his wife did a whole statement and he did a whole statement. I'm like, but Jessica Biel is like gorgeous and she's sweet, and I'm like, whatever.
That's disappointing. Justin Timberlake was like one of the good ones.
He
Was the guy who punched out a paparazzi.
Shit, when did that happen?
That was like 2005, maybe.
That makes sense.
With Olivia Munn. That's disappointing. I liked Olivia Munn too.
Wait, why'd he punch out a paparazzi?
Because they were annoying him.
Oh,
I mean,
all right. And then, of course, too, while we're talking about those with the greatest discography for love songs, we cannot forget Taylor Swift.
Taylor, yeah, of course.
I mean, we already mentioned one of her exes, so I mean, at this point, we gotta.
Did we?
John Mayer.
She dated John Mayer?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, and Dermot Kennedy. I'm going to throw Dermot Kennedy's name in there. That dude makes some good love songs. And not even necessarily I'm in love with you, but I love the world I'm living in right now kind of songs. Disney's been known to make a love song or two.
That's the one from Lion King where Simba...
Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Yeah, Jesus Lord, that shouldn't have been in a kid's movie, guys.
And B and I just watched Little Mermaid again, and I love the song Kiss the Girl. Specifically the Ashley Tisdale version, but the one in the movie's good too. A Day to Remember, Had You Had Me at Hello. That's a really good love song. But regardless, Taylor does do some really good love songs. And even though she's more renowned for the meme of her breakup songs,
Yeah.
when she actually does do a love song, it's really good. I think the most recent one, off the top of my head, that I know I can say for certain was a love song was Lover.
I feel like she just does a lot of classic love songs.
Yeah. And then there's the timeless classic of Can't Help Falling in Love. That's been covered by a billion people.
I'm probably going to get a little flack for this, but I really like the 21 Pilots version of that song.
Oh, they did it for him? Mm-hmm. Cool.
The music video to it is like super simple, where it's just the main guy in a car and he's singing it, and they get out of the car and they're like going to the venue. So you got like all of the fans sitting out singing the chorus with him, and then he gets into the building and he's still singing it. And then by the time he gets to like the big end of it, the whole venue is filled up.
That's
and
cool.
There's no like instrumentals, no nothing. It's just everybody singing back, and it was the sweetest thing. Ooh, and I have to mention too, Hosier.
Hosier, you had it right. You were always right.
You
And I
guys
was
are
wrong.
making me, because even Ty says I say it wrong. I'm like, no, I promise you, I'm saying it
Hosier,
right.
that is the definite name.
But he has songs like Real People Do. Work Song is super sweet. Like, all of it is just about just enjoying the person you have next to you.
Yeah.
And that is such a rare quality for people to like, because they always talk about how much they adore this person and adore what they do for them and stuff like that. But they've never just looked at a person and been like, I just really enjoy the fact you're here right now by my side.
Yeah.
And that's a super sweet quality that
I like
he has.
that message. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about some fun love songs. So Ludo is a weird band because their music is always incredibly well composed, but lyrically it's just like, why are you singing about that kind of thing? It can be weird. But their songs, Anything for You and Manta Rays. Well, Manta Rays is honestly just a really, really sweet one, but Anything for You is a really fun love song. Fuck, I just had a bunch of them. Okay, I will say I Don't Care, but not by Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber, because that's their version, the original version, is just so monotone and sad sounding. Mm-hmm. Listen to the one by Cimarelli and Kurt Hugo Schneider. Like their cover is the way I think it should be, a fun, happy, I don't care, I'm just in love with you kind of song, as opposed to I don't care when I'm with my baby. Yeah. Then one, like some of the ones you'll know, like Call Me Maybe. That's a fun love song.
Oh yeah.
I guess you could say that's not really a love song. She just thinks he's cute. All right, thanks.
No, she has a crush. Like, it's fine, guys.
Yeah. Haley and Leonardo by Blessed Union of Souls. She Likes Me for Me. That's a fun song. I have to admit, I'm actually a little torn on the message of Lauve's "I Like Me Better" song. I like me better when I'm with you.
Yeah.
Because it almost sounds like a little too dependent. I'm sure it's just meant to be lighthearted and silly, but I'm like, that's kind of a weird,
I know,
a weird mindset to go into. Any version by anybody of "Let My Love Open the Door," because that song was written to be a fun like, yeah, here's I think Townsend said it was a little ditty he wrote. So it's just meant to be like, oh, whatever.
I love that.
Haven't Met You Yet by Michael Bublé. There's a bunch of those songs are like really, really happy and fun. Also All For You by Sister Hazel. I like that song. Best Love Song by T-Pain and Chris Brown. So there are two, I guess you could say three, love songs that I've found and really enjoyed from TikTok. One of them is Deathbed, Coffee for Your Head. But I also like Surrender by Natalie Taylor, because that's an incredibly sweet song. It was actually one I'm pretty sure I heard like 4 years ago when she first, or 2 years ago, whenever it was, when she first released it on YouTube. Yeah. But it didn't blow up until TikTok found it. And then also Publix, Make You Mine. Both those are very, very... I mean, Publix is more fun and upbeat because it's a full band, and Surrender is just kind of like a ballad, but they're both really good. I think they're great.
I really like to the whole idea and the video that goes with it too. Roses by Chainsmokers.
Oh yeah,
I love that one. I will always bring it up because it works for so many different things, and it's so cute for Valentine's Day because the name of the song, it's Roses.
Roses.
It's Roses. But it's just a really sweet sort of love song when you watch the video behind it and you really see the two mindsets that they have, and I really appreciate that. And then Starving by Haley Steinfeld, that's kind of a lighter love song.
Starving is a lighter love song?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
The lyrics to it are a little more like dramatic.
Okay.
But the whole melody behind it's so kind of like nice and light pop, and that's a cute one. Toothbrush by DNC. That music video with that one model, what is her name? Ashley Graham. That is one of the cutest music videos I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like those really intimate moments between couples, and not like sexually or anything, but it's them like waking up together. It's them like getting dressed and making breakfast, them walking around their apartment, them together when they're out. It's super just really key intimate moments in like a new relationship, and it's so cute because I love Ashley Graham too.
One of those things I like. It shows you all the little things that matter.
Yeah.
There also are sadder love songs like "My Immortal" by Evanescence.
Yeah.
Like that's actually not even meant to be like a romantic one. That's more of a familial love song. But that's, despite being heartbreaking, it's a message of "I won't ever forget you." It's you could argue it's a thank you. But that might be a bit of a stretch. But you could say thank you for being in my life. But it's more. But the song is written about the pain in the moment of losing that someone.
Sadder love song, Never Let Me Go by Florence and the Machine. I love Florence and the Machine. You can even count Cosmic Love. It's a super cute song. Like, that's one of my favorite songs by her ever.
Just from your actual explanation, it just got me like reminiscing about "I'll Follow You Into the Dark" by Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, I love Death. What is the ones? Transatlantism.
Transatlant. You got me with some
Transatlanticism.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, I said it right?
Yes.
Oh, it's a miracle.
Going across the Atlantic, so transatlanticism. But
That
my
song.
brain wants to say Antlanticism. Having a stroke over here.
Dude, same. My brain just doesn't want to work today.
I would argue that 100 Gex song "Ringtone's" a love song.
Ringtone.
I'd be a bad argument, but I would make it.
Contagious by Avril Lavigne. That one's like
Avril Lavigne has a handful of love songs,
Yeah.
actually.
And I feel like too the best one of her love songs are ones that aren't completely meant to be love songs. They're just meant to be like fun, like lighter, like, oh, I have a crush sort of deal. But then like you listen to it and you're just like, that's what I want. That's cute.
She also has a handful of longing for love songs,
Yeah.
like "Nobody's Home" and "When You're Gone" and stuff.
Oh, Nobody's Home kills me every time.
You know who does a bunch of heartbreak songs like really, really well? Secondhand Serenade.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got "Fall for You," but some of his other stuff too. This is a love episode, not a heartbreak episode.
It's gonna turn into a dirty episode once I really get going here. So
I've gone through of like probably 80% of my stuff, so you can feel free to start diving into yours.
okay, so I went down, like I mentioned before, I went down this really weird rabbit hole where I was watching a Netflix show called The History of Swear Words. So a lot of what I'm pulling from is from one of those episodes. I think it was. This is all going to feature swear words, by the way, just in case somebody wasn't sure.
I've already sworn in this episode, so.
There's going to be a lot more. So I pulled a lot of this from the episode labeled Bitch, and the other one, which was the P word that also can be called a cat. I don't want to say that word. That's my moist. Like, I can't say that word.
The third letter of WAP.
Thank you. So, yeah, and it all started because when I think it was the Bitch episode, they talked about WAP. I know.
That sounds silly. Okay, go on.
The whole episode kind of dealt with why that was seen as a slur toward women and how it was used in up-and-coming gangster rap and how that kind of started its own culmination of the word. And
Pusillanimous means cowardly.
The what?
Pussy comes from the root word pusillanimous or pusillanimous, whatever. It's one of those two pronunciations meaning meek and cowardly. So pussy means coward. But then, of course, it took a sexual connotation as well.
Yeah, and it was also a very generic way to describe all breeds of cats.
Yeah.
In a weird time.
Scaredy cats.
Yeah, I love that whole series. So if you are interested in how our lexicon is changing and how words are like ascribed certain meanings that can be bad or good.
Pog.
You just pulled that out. I'm like, what? But Highly recommend that. It's hosted by Nick Cage, just being Nick Cage, and it's funny.
Hosted by Nick Cage?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's just him being him, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So today we're going to talk about bitch, which is a really, really interesting word, let me tell you.
You should see how he introduces fuck. It's the funniest thing. He just screams it for like 10 seconds.
As one does.
But yeah, so that's where I'm pulling a lot of this information from. They were talking about the reclamation of the word bitch and how it started in the females of gangster rap. Like you had Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown, where they were starting to turn kind of that meaning back on the boys and be like, yeah, I am a bitch. Like, what do you want? And then you have Queen Latifah that came up, and she's like, who you calling a bitch sort of deal. To now where you have Lizzo being like, I'm 100% that bitch. So they kind of went into like the different terms and meanings just in that one word. And it was super interesting. But then they started talking about Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and how WAP and their careers are kind of standing on these shoulders of these other women that came before them. And I found it so interesting. But I found even more interesting was that WAP is not even the dirtiest song ever recorded. And I think the dirtiest song recorded was in the 1930s. Believe it or not.
Let's talk. Excuse me.
So it was, I have a whole timeline out of all these damn things.
Now, when you say dirtiest, do you mean raunchiest or most curse words?
All of the above.
Okay.
It's bad.
Like South Park.
It's bad in the funniest way. But it started, so I'll start from the beginning where 19th century, you had the Barrison sisters, and they were basically what early burlesque was. And so they would sing about their kitty cats on stage, and they'd start hiking their skirts up, kind of like in burlesque. And by the end of the song, they'd pull their skirts up, and they had a kitten like tied to their like waist. This is back when like you couldn't show ankles, and they're like lifting their skirts up, showing cats, like actual kittens tied to their legs. That was
actually caused like a serious public outrage.
It was actually like one of the most popular things because it was a traveling performer, so it was super popular for their time, and kind of is where burlesque came from. And then 1920s, you start to see a break in it where you start seeing burlesque and you start seeing exotic dancers, aka strippers. Then starting in the 1930s to 40s, you get the rise of blues because you have more records being sold and it's more kind of a mainstream way of people listening to all the music. Yeah. So they go to the music hall or they buy records. Mm-hmm. And you had, honestly, blues is, the blues that I was listening to is so ungodly dirty. And I don't know how to explain it. But you have Clara Smith, It's Tight Like That. That was 1929. Bessie Smith, I Need a Little Sugar for My Bowl, 1931. And Harry Roy's, I have to say this word, shoot. My Girl's Pussy. And that was 1931. You didn't even try
hiding it there.
Well, because it's literally the title, and I'm like, fuck.
No, this dude wrote a song. He didn't even go for metaphor.
No, he went straight for the word. And then you have Lucille Bogan. I think I pronounced that right. Bogan. She wrote and released When the Cows Come Home. Now, this is later referenced in the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up. And there's nothing I can quote about it. It's just nonstop. It's about coitus, just straight up. Just like she's going to destroy this man.
Damn.
I'll have to show you that episode. But she's it's not good.
What the fuck?
Seriously, and people are like, WAP is so bad. I'm like, oh honey, I think this man just died. I think this one.
He died doing what he loved.
He came and he went. That's all he got. And everyone's over here like, WAP is this such a dirty my grandparents never listened to things like this. Oh honey, they did. And it was a lot less like that version of WAP is probably more closely related to the music that used to come out in the 1930s, because they didn't hide anything in metaphor or innuendo. They usually just were like, here you go.
Yeah.
So that's where WAP is very reminiscent of the 1930s blues in that account. It's not new, guys. WAP has been around for a very, very long time, just in different forms. I learned a lot.
I learned so much today.
This is my rabbit hole, because then after the jazz clubs, you have the sex revolution that happened in the 1970s, and then people started talking about sex more, especially publicly. So through the 1980s to 90s, you got Two Live Crew.
Oh my God, with Me So Horny?
And We Want Some Pussy, and what was it? 1986. It goes, hey, we want... Yeah. Listening to there's a commentator to that song, too, that from that show, because they reference this song. And the guy's like, yeah, because that... Nothing screams like, hey, girl, like a bunch of horny guys screaming at her. And you got the early gangster rap that talked about just life, honestly. They pushed a lot of boundaries on censorship, especially that went around with sex and women and
absolutely
all that. And then that's where Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown, Queen Latifah were really instrumental in kind of changing how rap was going, because you had people like Drake that talked about it later, about how the word bitch is demeaning to women, yeah, but it sounds good in these songs. And so that kind of brought up the reason people started questioning it is because of these women. And then throughout, starting that till now, like, we thought Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and all these other women in rap now are like being so explicit and being so raunchy, and it's like, no, they're just doing what the guys are doing. It's just getting more and it all kind of comes with when they were talking about, the reclamation of all of these words, a lot of the words that were supposed to demean and disrespect people, they're taking it and they're turning it around and being like, no, like, this is our word now, like, you used it on us and now it's ours. Like,
no, I can definitely see that. Yeah,
it was super interesting. That's why I was like, I was watching the show when I was going through all the love songs on my phone, and I kind of just fell down that rabbit hole. I'm like, I know Alex is gonna keep this kind of PG, and I have to make this R.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but I wasn't like actively trying to make it PG. That's just usually the kind of the content I go for. And here, like, the only things in those like fields that I thought of, like, from the movie Role Models, they talk about Kiss and Love Gun, which Love Gun is referencing oral sex. And then Bloodhound Gang's Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo, which is an anagram of fuck, Foxtrot Uniform Charlie Kilo. And every single line in the song is intentionally an innuendo. Like, they're trying to basically see how many they can get out. The chorus is about talking about how we're doing innuendos.
Wow.
But so those are like the only two examples. I had the hippies in the 70s, and I thought that's when people would be more like coy and kind of on the nose with things. I didn't realize things were going as far back as the blues.
Yeah.
And like the jazz era.
And what's funny too is a lot of the songs too were referenced by like the Rolling Stones and a few other bands.
Mick Jagger's dancing.
Yeah.
wasn't even trying to hide anything.
Like, it's funny that a lot of these songs have been around or had some sort of like impact on censorship, because especially back then, like, you couldn't talk about like even kissing in a movie, let alone
like a married couple in a film would have to have two separate beds.
Yeah.
And like they wouldn't even show it on screen that they were sharing one.
So it was kind of interesting. Like, people, I think more of the movies and like the popular media more than they actually think about what was happening during that time. Like, people were talking about sex and they weren't hiding it, especially blues people. Like, the instrumental icons of that genre were just like, you really can't stop us from being real or talking about our life in any respect. And it's like very similar to the way a lot of female artists are today, where they're talking more about what satisfies them, what they are what their goals are, what their sexuality is, what they're comfortable with. And a lot of people are like, no, you can't talk about that. Yeah, that's dirty. No, this has been going on for a while, guys.
Correct me if I'm wrong, or cut this out if I'm just totally wrong. But I wonder, I was just going back to the older generations as well. I wonder if there's almost like a racial element to it, like because the primary jazz and blues artists were black. Like people would just like they either wouldn't take the song seriously, or like the white folk wouldn't listen to it because it was just black music kind of thing. So like maybe that's why some things went under the radar, or people were just more on the were able to be more on the nose about it.
Well, that's why too we had the parental stickers in the 90s, because the rap revolution and gangster rap that was starting to become more mainstream was in that late 80s.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you had who was it? It was Twisted Sister who started. Kipper Gore started that.
Tipper Gore.
Tipper Gore.
Yeah, it's with all of her censorship stuff.
Yeah. And like they were mostly focused on anything that was like sexual or explicit, which more or less
authority.
Was gangster rap and hard rock.
Yeah. Dee Snider was in skin tight leather pants talking to Congress saying, I don't understand how any of this is a bad message.
Yeah. Well, his whole argument, if anybody can see the was it the Congress thing?
Congressional hearing.
Yeah, because they recorded it and it has it in its entirety. And I think I found it on Facebook, but I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. And just listening to him talk too, he was so well put together with his argument. And he even called out a lot of like BS about the whole thing. Like, you know, you can't keep kids from stuff like this. And also too, like, you guys are taking messages from pretty innate things and trying to twist it so you can point the finger and be like, yeah, that's the bad guy. And he goes, why? Like, why are you putting in so much effort to shield from things that aren't even
wrong?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I never watched the full thing at all.
I loved it. Like, that's the importance of music.
I think Dee Snider is weird as a person, but I respect that.
It was super. Yeah, it's funny though. He's got the long blonde hair and it's all curly and messy, and he's just sitting there like total rock star like outfit, and he's just
giving like an educated argument.
He sounded like a Harvard professor just going off, and I'm like, I love this, because especially too, people like to point out that if you're swearing or you're explicit or you're vulgar, that you're not intelligent, and a lot of like these songs prove that you can, or like Cardi B said, because people were flaming her for she turned that song off WAP when her daughter came in during a live stream. Like, her daughter ran in the room when she was playing WAP, and she was like doing an Instagram live feed, like listening and talking, and she saw her daughter turn around and turn the music off, and everyone's like, oh, are you not gonna let your own daughter listen to your music stuff? And she's like, look guys, I make music for adults. I don't make music for children. I'm not here to raise your children. I'm not here to censor what you're letting them listen to. She goes, but my daughter's not listening to that because she's not an adult. It's like, oh shit, guys. Like,
that actually brings up a really interesting debate, though. But that's a topic for a different episode. I was thinking about when you were talking about the Dee Snider thing. I was thinking about a post I saw online of like the Beatles craze, and someone mentioned that the Beatles were popular because they were 4 cute boys that were famous at a time when women weren't allowed to be horny.
Yeah, I saw that too, which is hilarious.
I wonder if the Beatles would have been as big if they had come out in the 80s instead of the 60s.
I don't know, because... Oh, wait, sorry, continue.
Well, I mean, because you can definitely argue that no, they wouldn't have been, but they were like, you know, they were one of the earlier pioneers of rock and roll, so they had to have been in the 60s for there to be a 70s and 80s that we had. But let's just fill somebody else in that spot, and then bring in the Beatles in the 80s. Would people have cared as much? Because they were 4 well-dressed guys. Their first hit song was I Want to Hold Your Hand. They weren't like exactly breaking new bounds. They were just playing instruments and were British attractive.
Yeah. I don't know. But what's really interesting too is I still think they would have their main female base. Now, if that would, because a lot of super popular bands and people their main fan base always was women, whether it was Beatles, Elvis Presley, there's more. I'm blanking on a lot right now.
You're thinking older school artists?
Yeah, older school, and even through the 70s and 80s, a lot of bands, their core group is always women. But when you look back at it and you'll see like how people talk about it, they talk about, oh, they are such good music, too bad they had those crazy fans and stuff like that, and they sort of start gatekeeping certain things about it. So I think...
Like Michael Jackson?
Yeah, because his main fan base for a long time was women.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of like pop icons, their main fan base always started out being women. And then that got them media attention, and that got them more fans. And then you have men that step in and they're like, oh, like they would have been greater if it weren't for their crazy fan base. Like they have such crazy fangirls.
I mean, even like, it's even true to this day. I mean, like people are constantly talking about how there are the psycho fangirls who had Bieber fever, and then the One Direction people and fans and stuff. I will say though, Justin Bieber did have some crazy fans, and they began cutting themselves because he smoked weed once. Like that was fucking weird.
Yeah, I think that was just you had a bunch of young women on social media who had a way to connect to him.
If I do this, he'll notice me.
Yeah, sort of deal. And that, I think, speaks more to social media and the connectivity of things, and I think it really does the fans, because... For
sure.
Yeah, that whole thing just took such a sharp turn, and I'm like, oh no. But yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, I think they would still be a pretty popular band. I think they'd still probably... I don't think they would be as famous as they are now, looking back.
Okay.
But I still think they would be, like, part of... When you look back, I'm like, yeah, they probably would have been part of Woodstock and shit like that.
Oh, yeah, probably.
So, yeah,
okay.
That's kind of what I think of. But yeah, so that's our crazy, dirty rabbit hole that I just went down. But I love the history of things, and I love seeing how things evolve and change and how things don't change. And I think that was a nice callback to... People were dirty in the beginning of time, and people are dirty now, and there's nothing that's going to change that.
I mean, like, one of the most primal instincts that any mammal has is mating. So it makes sense that we would do, which brings us around full circle to what I said at the beginning of the episode. Music probably started for one of two reasons: religion and courting. Yep. You wanted to mate.
You gotta sing a pretty song.
Even birds do it. I mean...
So that's why they brought in the birds and the bees.
Hey!
I don't know where the bees came from, though.
I'll tell you when you're older. Bees? Anyway, that's all we got for this episode.
Dude, I just accidentally did a Nick Cage impression from that one movie. Bees?
Bees?
Not the bees.
Bees?
Oh my God,
okay, well, Danny dies over
ending.
there.
Holy shit.
Okay, yes. Thank you all so much for listening. We hope you have a very, very happy Valentine's Day.
And don't forget the discount chocolates the next day.
Yeah, it's going to be rad. But yeah, same news as always. Be sure to check out our Facebook page for updates and whatnot. Instagram's still pretty quiet, but we're on Spotify, we're on Anchor, we're on... like 5 other websites that I've never used before.
Hopefully be on Apple Music soon.
Fingers crossed.
Bear with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'll do
I
it.
can't think of anything else.
That'll do.
Yeah, so then, well, we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
I take care to remove my gloves when stroking my girl's pussy.